moving compliance tone down through an organization. Mike Volkov has said, quote, even when a company does all the right things at the senior management level, the real issue is whether or not that culture has embedded itself in middle and lower management. A company's culture is reflected in the values and beliefs that exist throughout the company, end quote. To fully operationalize your compliance program, you must articulate the message of ethical values in doing business in compliance, then drive that message from the top down throughout your organization. The 2020 update to the evaluation of corporate compliance programs made clear a company must have more than simply a good tone at the top. It must move tone down through an organization from senior management to middle management and to the lower ranks. The document stated, quote, beyond compliance structures, policies, and procedures, it is important for a company to create and foster a culture of ethics and compliance with the laws at all levels of the company. The effectiveness of a compliance program requires a high-level commitment by company leadership to implement a culture of compliance from the middle and the top. The 2020 update posed some questions, including what actions have senior leaders and middle management stakeholders taken to demonstrate their commitment to compliance personnel, including remedial efforts? Have they persisted in that commitment in the face of competing interests or business objectives? This requirement speaks to the greater role of non-compliance functions in a fully operationalized compliance program. Indeed, one sign of a mature compliance and ethics program is the extent to which companies' other corporate disciplines are involved in implementing and then taking forward a compliance solution. This approach can act as a linchpin in spreading a company's commitment to compliance throughout the employee base. It can also be used to connect the dots in many divergent elements of a corporate compliance and ethics program. What should the tone in the middle be? What should middle management's role be in a company's compliance program? This role is critical because the majority of company employees work most directly with the middle rather than top management, and consequently, they will take their cues from how middle management responds to a situation. Perhaps most importantly, middle management must listen to the concerns of employees. Even if middle management cannot directly affect a change, it is important that employees have an outlet to express their concerns. Your organization should train middle managers to enhance listening skills in the overall context of providing training for their management toolkit or manager's toolkit. This can be particularly true if there is a compliance violation or other incident which requires some form of employee discipline. Most employees think it is important that there be organizational justice so that people will be treated fairly. For if there is organizational justice, it engenders perceived procedural fairness, which makes it more likely an employee will be willing to accept a decision that they may not like or disagree with the end results. Even with great tone at the top and mood in the middle, you cannot stop there. One of the greatest challenges of a compliance practitioner is how to impact the most frontline employees or tone at the bottom. One of the things you can do is assemble a compliance focus group to find out how business is done in the field and if it differs from how your company expects it to be done in an ethical and compliant manner. Begin by assembling a group of employees who are familiar with the challenges of doing business in a compliant manner in certain geographic regions to discuss the challenges of doing business ethically and in compliance. Ask them questions about their understanding of your compliance regime, then categorize the answers into theory and practice of compliance in your organization. From this, test what is real in theory and what is real in practice. You can check and see which employees are promoted more regularly. Do those who do business ethically and in compliance, or those who meet their sales quota, get promoted more regularly? After you have internally tested, reassemble the original group and have them to consider the beliefs that were articulated by them. Employees often look to their direct supervisors to determine what the tone of an organization is and will be going forward. Many employees of large companies never have direct connections with the CEO. By moving the values down through an organization from the middle and to the bottom, you will have a much better position to inculcate your corporate values and operationalize compliance with them going forward. We're going to have a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be back with today's 3 key takeaways. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? What does tone at the top mean for most employees? I've worked in multinational corporations, multi-billion-dollar corporations, and oftentimes I never saw the CEO, literally after years of working there. So the company employees will generally think of their direct supervisors as the bosses, and they will have the most important influence on the employees at the company. This leads to point number 2. Give your middle managers a toolkit around compliance so that they can fully operationalize compliance. This means they need to learn how to listen, and they need to learn how to appropriately report an employee's concerns. Those concerns can be up to and including an FCPA violation, but could be a variety of other issues. And it can be a tripwire, which can help you prevent some conduct from becoming an actual legal violation or an FCPA violation. And finally, number 3, organizational justice is an additional way to help you operationalize compliance. In the 2020 update to the evaluation of corporate compliance programs, the Department of Justice said that the corporate compliance function is the holder of the company's institutional justice and institutional fairness flame. So, as the compliance officer, you need to be able to demonstrate that your company does treat people fairly, and discipline will be meted out consistently across not only business units, but also regions where your company does business. If you'd like information on any of the topics from this podcast series, please check out the compliance handbooks available at lexisnexis.com/Fox. This is Tom Fox again. Thank you for listening to this episode of 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program. I hope you will join me for the entire month of January, where I take a look at some of the significant changes in compliance and FCPA enforcement. 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.